Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Jeremy Smith, and I'm with Grant Station's online education team. They'll be your host for today's webinar, and that's From Fear to Connection, and that's learning more about how to ask for a gift. And that's with Beth Raps. She's got a PhD, and she's with Raising Clarity. Let me tell you a little bit about Beth. She's certified by the Money Coaching Institute as a money coach to help both individuals and nonprofits heal their relationship with money. She founded Raising Clarity in 2012 to integrate relationship-driven annual plan and campaign fundraising with the art of face-to-face asking and the healing power of money coaching. She leads with empathy, humor, and joy in her trainings, where laughter and aha moments abound. And of course, please let us know when you have an aha moment by putting that into the chat. More than happy to hear that and love to know what's going on. Joining her today is the president of Grant Station's online education, is Alice Runke. She's also going to be joining us for today's webinar. And with that, let me hand it over to you right now, Beth. So Beth Rapp, please take it over.
So, hello, everyone. I'm so glad you're here. This is very exciting. I teach this often in person, and this is a chance for people all over the world to be able to get this information and watch me demonstrate and ask with the lovely Alice Runke. Thank you, Alice, today. And then we're going to have 20 minutes at the end for questions. And I'm pretty serious about that. So be thinking about your questions. Please, like Jeremy said, put them in the Q&A. Alice is going to filter and combine questions so that we have as rich as possible a discussion at the end. Everything in the slides you're going to see is also in your handout. It's in the slides you're going to get. All the quotations are from your handout. You'll have a copy. So be present. If you like taking notes by hand, please do. But otherwise, you're going to have all this stuff. Just really be present with me as we go through this. I think there is an embodied change that I hope to effect in you, in your comfort level, and it's something you should physically feel, as well as a mental preparation that I'm going to give you. All right, so here we go. On studies asking people, why did you make your most recent donation? 80% have answered, because someone asked me. And I just want to let that sink in. That's why we're doing this. That's why we're going from fear to connection. Because people will very, very, very seldom make a gift unless you ask them. I didn't put that in the handout, but statistically, the most successful way to receive your gift is to ask face-to-face. I imagine that the next most statistically successful would be Zoom or phone. And the farther away you get, say in writing, like an email, a little bit less successful, statistically, but still really good. And then things like crowdfunding, where you just send people a link, share a meme, especially without a real exhortation to give online. If there's not a personal juice feeling in that ask, it's less and less, you're getting less and less likely. So that's why we're doing something that may be scary to a lot of people. That's why we're shifting. We're willing to give up some of that fear. It may never go away. It doesn't go away for me, and I've been doing it for 42 years. It doesn't just magically go away, but it can settle. Our nervous systems can settle. Our emotions can settle a bit, enough to be able to have a conversation like these folks here are having on the screen, so that you can actually ask for a gift. And I do mean, if possible, face to face. Okay. When we ask for a gift, we are doing others a service. I really want to inculcate that feeling of invitation, of blessing. It's a blessing we have the power to share. It's a privilege. We are inviting someone to join us in something we think is really important. And if that's not how it feels, then something needs to shift. This is the heart and soul of fundraising. This is why I do this work and I teach this work, and I do make asks myself. In fact, if you sign up for my newsletter, you'll get to find out my latest fundraising endeavor. Most of the time I'm helping someone who's the face of a campaign make an ask. Usually I'm the behind the scenes person because I'm consulting and coaching. But this is the spirit that I want to inculcate again. This is the spirit. It's not a burden. It's not a dread. It's an opportunity. And it's really an invitation to join a movement, join the work, join a cause, help to help. My experience is that people really do want to help. They want to help. They don't know how, they don't know where. They may have 5 things they're giving to already, but they may very well not. And you are doing them a service. You're reaching out to them and saying, yes, you matter. You actually matter enough for me to ask you. It always helps if you've also given yourself. If you have given to your own campaign at any size that's comfortable for you, at any size that's meaningful for you, it creates an energetic difference when you can say, join me in this endeavor, and you mean it. Okay, so I want to keep the mental part really simple. Thanks for all the love on the voice. I appreciate it. Thank you. So there are 2 absolutes. There are 2 things you've got to do in this school of thought. You can disagree. We'll talk at the end, Q&A. In order to raise money, you have to ask for it. No matter how you ask, even if it's a crowdfunding link, you still have to ask. Because people are intuitive, but they may not just be intuitive about like exactly what the link is, the URL that you want them to give to. You have to give them that. You have to ask. And in this school of thought, you really have to put your heart into it. And then this is a quote from my mentor, one of my mentors, Kim Klein, which is in your handout. Once you receive the gift, you should thank the person who made it. I want to go above that and say, once you receive the gift, after you receive the gift, you should certainly thank the person. But before you receive the gift, you should also thank the person for taking the time to meet with you. In this way of doing fundraising, it's a meaningful encounter. It's a powerful encounter. It can make you both feel really vulnerable. And if you take the other webinar I'm offering, the live coaching webinar, you would get to see how it actually feels to be the person being asked. It can feel really vulnerable on both sides. So thanking the person for making themselves vulnerable enough to meet with you is a really important thing to do. So I think you should thank always, no matter if the person says no, which is very, 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 very unusual. And we will talk about why that is. In this situation, if you have set up the ask properly and you've given them a chance to say no prior to the actual ask, it's a very odd person, we'll just say, who would say no during the actual ask. But you might get all sorts of objections. You might get things that feel like a no, and we're going to talk about those because those aren't a no. But anyway, thank you is the bottom line. Thank you, thank you, thank you for meeting with me. Thank you for considering. And of course, thank you for the gift. So I have found in my trainings that a lot of people think they have a prospect. And what my mentor said they have is a suspect, which she's super funny, Kim Klein. You need 3 things to qualify your prospect. Your prospective donor, or hopefully your existing donor, needs to have 3 things. They obviously need to have some ability to give, and ideally, you're going to ask them for a specific amount. My school is that you ask them for a specific amount. I have been told that in some places it's culturally inappropriate to ask for a specific amount. You have to be the judge of that. Homing in on how much your donor can give is a product of decent research, which is very doable online because there's an obscene amount of information about all of us online, and some guesswork about maybe what kind of job they have, where they've given previously, all sorts of information. So refining your idea about their ability is good, but they absolutely, obviously have to have the ability to give. They also have to have some belief. You have to have some evidence that the person believes in your cause or would believe if they knew about the cause. Now, what might that be? That might be an introduction that a mutual friend has made for you. It might be reading about gifts that they've made in the past. There could be a lot of other indicators that they have belief in your cause. There could just be, you could know something about their personal situation that makes you think, this person is very likely has belief in my cause, or I could very easily induce them to believe in my cause with just a little bit of discussion and explanation about what I do, what we do, what I'm offering. what my organization offers. And the last thing you need is connection. In the article, this word connection is in brackets because in the article, Kim says contact. Contact these days is very, very easy to come by. Contact is cheap. Connection is where I'm really coming from. So again, someone who introduces you, someone who is obviously, if you've got someone who's made a gift in the past, great. You need to have some degree of connection with the person. I am so saddened and tired of hearing about fundraisers in nonprofits, development people, anybody, staff who's asking for gifts, and they're doing it scattershot. They're sending out sometimes a very expensive packet to 200 businesses they don't have any connection with in a small town, or they're just finding people online who might have ability and belief and writing them out of the clear blue sky. And if you think about yourself, you get letters like that probably in the mail that have where your name has been purchased on a list, and there's a tiny infinitesimal rate of return on that. It's so statistically unlikely. It continues to be likely enough that organizations will purchase those lists to build their donor rolls, but it's by far from the least effective, by far from the most effective, um, far from the most effective way to build a connection. So one of my favorite articles, again by Kim Klein, is you already know all the people you need to know to raise the money you need. And I think if we hold that in mind, that is pretty factual. We actually know those people. We may be scared to death to ask them because we know them. We may be scared to death because they're bigwigs in our community for lots of reasons that we might be afraid. Thanks for the love. Um, but we do know them, or we might be one degree of separation away. This is where you start, especially for a face-to-face ask or a Zoom to Zoom ask. You want that closeness. And would I say that otherwise you're wasting your effort? Yes, if you're looking for a large gift, if you're looking for an individual gift that's going to fit this profile. No, it's if you're sharing a crowdfunding link. But this school of fundraising is most effective when it's done where all three of these things you have A, B, and C. And I'm going to return to this as we keep going on. Again, if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the Q&A. Okay, there's an article that I've linked to. I'm not going to spend a long time on this right here, but there's an article by Andy Robinson. And he says everything he needed to know as a fundraiser, he learned from doing door knocking. I don't know if any of you have ever gone door knocking. Door knocking is a real way to feel vulnerable for campaign, political campaign. There are people who do listening projects online, door to door. Lots of times that people will go door to door. And see, these are the things he learned, and they're so extremely applicable to this kind of fundraising. First of all, don't waste your time on lost causes. If somebody's like clearly not interested, you need to let them go and not be interested. Okay. There's so many fish in the sea. One of the things that we make ourselves wrong about as fundraisers is, oh my gosh, that person said no. Oh my gosh, I must have done something wrong. It's like, no, that's somebody else's donor. That's not your donor. That's somebody else's donor. It's cool. There's a lot of donors. There's a lot of wealth out there. There's a lot of people with money to give. Statistically, the less someone makes, the greater percentage of their income they give, the more generous they are. So don't forget about mid-level donors, which is also in your handout. Don't forget about small donors. But small donors, we don't expect to be treated like this. We don't expect a Zoom meeting or an in-person meeting. We are content with an email often. This strategy is used often for larger gifts, and I propose mid-level gifts as well. And if you have a question about what mid-level would look like, put it in the Q&A. Mid-level is relative generally to your own kind of donor profile. So you want a dialogue, not a monologue. And hopefully you're going to see me when I do the demonstration Ask with Alice, demonstrate good listening. That silence that you're hearing is really important. I want you to get comfortable with that silence because the donor will step into that silence. The other person gets a chance to step in. You're asking questions. You want a conversation. And it can be so easy when we're nervous to just talk, right? Hmm. What do you think? How do you feel? How do you connect to this issue? There are all kinds of ways to practice. Um, Again, I'm thinking about the live coaching webinar next week if you want a chance to really practice. But you can practice with your other fellow staff members. You can practice with a friend, practicing doing an ask and getting feedback. Craft the pitch to meet the needs of the individual. And I think needs is a good word. What does the other person need to hear? This is part of your research when you're doing an ask. What do they need to hear? What would they need to understand? And you can say, what else would you need to hear? Once you've made your pitch, once you've engaged with them a little bit in some listening, and they're starting to talk about how they're connected to the issue, which hopefully they are, um, what more can I tell you about? What are you curious about? Inspire curiosity. The longer the conversation, the better it's going, often. Depends on the person. Some people are very efficient. They know what they want to do. They want to make that gift and they want to go do something else. But a lot of times, engaging in genuine conversation is a great way to gauge how the ask is going. Tell the truth. You'll read in the article, if you decide to read Andy's article, the truth is the simplest path and the most direct path. That, yeah, what is it? Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive. I think that's Shakespeare. I hope I'm right about that. No, Walter Raleigh. I think it was Walter Raleigh. Just tell the truth. If your executive director was involved in a scandal 3 months ago and the donor brings it up, you need to have an answer ready. In small towns, in big cities, with the internet, people know stuff. They may have uncomfortable questions. And if you know in advance that there might be an uncomfortable question, you increase your comfort level by preparing for it. The stronger the relationship, the larger the gift. And I would add within the ability of the person to give, obviously. But I think that that's a good emphasis on relationship. It isn't only ability belief, it's connection. The stronger the connection, think about yourself and your giving, your caring. There are sort of concentric circles of caring. And if possible, we want to be in that core circle. All right. I really want to ask for questions because I'm used to doing that in person, but I'm going to wait. So this is why you have the slides, you have the handout. You can go back to any point in this webinar and I'll know what we're talking about and I'll be able to answer your question. So first of all, you need to be introduced, right? It's ability, belief, and connection. And I really can't emphasize that enough. You're welcome to challenge me on that. How do I get connected to so-and-so? There's usually a way, okay? But really, I don't want you to do this with someone you don't have a connection to. I want you to sow the seeds of a really fertile, fruitful garden. And that's the way to do it, is to make sure all three things are in place, A, B, and C. Ask if you can meet to invite support. So you're not asking them to lunch because you want to get to know them and you want to share. That's fine. You are doing those things. You are asking them if they'd like to go to lunch so you can share your organization and its mission and perhaps a new project or campaign you have, and to ask for their support. I'd like to ask you to support this. I'd like to ask if you'd consider supporting this. I'd like to tell you about this and invite you to support. Whatever your language is, and you can find your own organic language, you are direct from the get-go. It's sort of like the importance of telling the truth. You want to be direct, and of course you want to be respectful. Sometimes I find when people get the message about being direct, they can be a little cold or a little harsh. And that doesn't really have a place here because you're building a relationship that is going to last you a long time. It's much, much easier to sustain any relationship, but particularly a donor relationship, if you have put the energy into building it, than it is to build this relationship for the first time, to start out, right? So you want to front load it. You want to do everything right if you can. And in this case, you want to be warm and kind and direct. And when we talk about money in this culture, that's often a very strange combination for a lot of people. Again, hopefully you'll see me demonstrate that with Alice, being direct and respectful. So don't let discomfort make you get cold or arrogant. It's really just, if you feel yourself doing that, you're just scared. And you can take a breath and think about, you can picture the donor saying yes, for example. You can picture a lovely meeting. Picture it going well. That can help with our nervous systems. Practice it with a friend. And don't let fear ever, 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 even including in the ask itself, make you beg or play small. You are offering this person an invitation. It is a privilege and a blessing. You have something to offer them. They have something to offer you, and hopefully they will. But you have something really important that you're doing with them, that you're offering them. And I really want you to feel that and remember it. So often we feel like we're not in business to make money. This is nonprofits do hopefully make a profit. They make money, but we're not in it for profit. We feel less than sometimes. We allow money to make us feel less than someone with more money than we have, whom we are going to be asking for a gift. That's pointless. You have something golden, or you wouldn't be meeting with them that they couldn't get any other way. We're the way they're going to get it. So we are the ones, the only ones who can do this. Like I said in the earlier slide, we are the only one. We're the only way they're going to get this information face to face and personally, not from the newspaper, not from a brochure, just not online, not even from our wonderful website. You're doing something magical. So don't let fear make you play small. You might be afraid, but don't let it make you play small. And definitely you're not begging. Again, if it's a lost cause, let it go. But hopefully by this point, you're getting a pretty good sense that it's not going to be a lost cause. I want to talk about how we set up the ask by demonstrating it. And I want to do the ask with Alice. And then after we do the ask together, we will have time for some more explanation about how to follow up. Okay, Alice, how are you feeling?
Doing great.
Okay.
Yeah. I have
Now,
to say, Beth, when we talked about this, I thought our roles were going to be reversed. And I was very nervous because asking for money in a face-to-face is not my style, right? I can write a grant, I can do it well, but so it's really interesting, it's kind of funner to be on this side. But
yeah, but
yeah,
but it might still be scary. No, I wanted to put the burden
sure.
on me of
Yeah.
demonstrating. But I did ask you what nonprofit should I use? And you're
Yes.
on the board of the West Virginia Nonprofit Association. Yay.
Yes.
And so that's the organization that I researched. I've known you for a while. I still looked at your bio on the Grant Station website just to see, well, what do I know about Alice? How do I think she can come to care about the West Virginia Nonprofit Association? Um, Jeremy, just a quick question. Can people see Alice and me pretty well more than the slide? Should we switch it over?
Well, actually, if you stop sharing the slides, it'll be just you two face to face. So that would be the best
Sounds
recreation.
great. Sounds
Yeah.
great. Okay, there
Okay.
we go.
Good.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Yeah.
Now
Okay,
I
it
feel like
just
I'm
means,
looking you in the eye.
yeah,
Yep.
I'll have to, I might fumble a little bit getting to the PowerPoint on the other end, but this is much better. Okay, great. So, so I'm going to explain in brackets for everybody observing us, how I set up the ask. So I'm going to, unless you want to tell me, Alice, do you wish you could describe it? Okay. So I know Alice through Rosemary Ketchum. Rosemary and I are friends. Rosemary is the executive director of West Virginia Nonprofit Association. I'll be on the board. I'll say I'm on the board. And I know my job is to fundraise. Hint, hint to anybody here watching who's on the board, on a board. Your job is also to fundraise. Your job is to give. Your job is also to fundraise. And we can talk about that in the Q&A. So Rosemary knows you, but there's never been an ask or something. Um, and so this is the first time you've known about the West Virginia Nonprofit Association. How could you not? I know that you live in West Virginia, as I did for 20 years. Um, and so I'm on the board. I have emailed you. Rosemary has introduced us by email. And then I followed up. I kept the email going, said, thank you, Rosemary. And I said, Alice, I know you work in a nonprofit. I'm going to say that you work in a nonprofit in West Virginia. I don't know if you already know about the West Virginia Nonprofit Association. This is in my email. You said, I've heard of it, and I know that you are a person who can afford um, a larger than a membership gift. So I've pointed you to the membership resources, but I've said to you, and you know that you're not, this is not the first time someone has asked you for a largish gift. You're not surprised. You're surprised that it's West Virginia Nonprofit Association, but okay, you're not totally surprised. You've been philanthropic. You have some record of having been philanthropic. So I know you have ability. You work for a nonprofit, so I know you have some belief. Now, my job is going to be to bridge from your current belief to believing specifically in the West Virginia Nonprofit Association. And now we have a connection. There's a small connection. And I have said, would it be all right with you to meet with me on Zoom? Because I don't know, maybe I live in Alaska. Unlikely. We're trying to save gas. I don't know why, but we're asking on Zoom. We're not going to pretend this is a lunch. I'm going to actually practice it as it is on Zoom. Would you be willing to meet with me on Zoom because I can't get to lunch with you easily? Um, you know, and for me to ask you to consider supporting the West Virginia Nonprofit Association with a gift. And you have written back to me saying, sure. Okay. So I want to, again, before we start the ask, I want to point out to people on the call with us today that if you had wanted to say no, you would be pretty comfortable having said no, especially in an email where there's like no fault. It's very hard to worry about hurting someone's feelings if you say no in a polite email, right? Probably would my feelings be hurt? Little. But I'm an experienced fundraiser. I know there's a lot of fish in the sea. I think, oh, well, I guess she's not my donor. I might at that point, what I would do is build the relationship, if with your permission, keep you on the mailing list and invite you to make a membership gift because I know that once you join, you're going to get lots of wonderful stuff. And hopefully you will. And West Virginia Nonprofit Association makes it possible to join the newsletter without making a membership gift. So even if that was all you agreed to, um, and depending on even the quality of your no, if you said no in the email, I might tickle, I don't know if that's a term people still use, but I might tickle your contact to get back to you in a year. I'm tracking for me is absolutely essential. Your database, some people use CRM that will kind of poop out little reminders to them. If you put in a note saying, remember to ask Alice again in a year, it will do that for you and remind you. It won't make the ask for you, but it will do the reminding for you. I personally use a pen and paper date book for just about everything. So it doesn't matter how you do it. What matters is the successfulness of your system that you're using. So after all of that being said, Alice and I have come to this place here. Alice, thank you. And so now I'm going to actually begin the ask. Alice, thank you so much for meeting with me. It's such a delight. Um, your your renown as a philanthropist is clear. I really appreciate. I know that you care about a lot of causes. I also know you have a nonprofit that you're part of in West Virginia, and I'm really grateful that you're meeting with me, um, and that you obviously care about nonprofits in West Virginia to some extent as a whole, or you wouldn't have let me come and meet with you today on Zoom. Tell me a little bit about your connection to West Virginia nonprofits.
Yeah, so I work for nonprofit X, and we're part of a big coalition. So we work with lots of other nonprofit organizations, and I find that that's the space I love to be in. It's where I feel I'm making the most difference in the world.
Mm,
And I love to be just around people who feel that they can make a difference in the world. So that's why I love this
Wonderful.
sector and I love this space in the
Do you ever
nonprofit
do you
sector.
ever wish you had an advocate for the sector? You know,
Oh,
politically, socially,
oh,
raising the profile of nonprofits in West Virginia?
oh, absolutely. Because, I people don't see our value. If we're not telling our stories, nobody knows all the work that we do. And personally, I always feel that everybody really needs to constantly tell that story, get that message out there, and have, something that supports the important work that the
Right?
sector's doing. Yeah.
Right. And I'm cutting Rosemary off because I know we're a little bit short on time. I would absolutely, can you feel how engaged she's becoming? I mean, she's a good actor, but she obviously does care a whole lot. So back into the ask. Rosemary, Rosemary, sorry, Alice.
It's
Um,
okay.
I don't know about you, but without the West Virginia Nonprofit Association, sometimes I would feel so alone. Having to raise the profile of all nonprofits, having to advocate for myself individually here, individually there, all over West Virginia. It's kind of ridiculous to put that on us when we're trying to execute our missions. We're trying to do what we're here to do. So the West Virginia Nonprofit Association does that with us and for us. They offer incredible membership benefits. There are discounts on insurance, there are discounts on other things that you can get through as a membership benefit. They offer incredible trainings um, with the West Virginia Nonprofit Association. But one of the most meaningful things to me, as someone who is deeply in the sector like you are, is this advocacy and the profile raising and the positive profile that they're giving us. They have a project now called Work Ethic that is such an exquisite project telling stories about people who work in the nonprofit sector in West Virginia. It's on their website. I'm in love with that project because it's heartwarming and it's also deeply political. It's also deeply beneficial to the sector as a whole. So, okay, again, truncating the ask, we would keep going like this. The energy becomes palpable. There's a lot of excitement. There's shared issues, shared connection. We're building the bridge, as I'm sure you're seeing. And at some point, I have I know that it's time to ask. Alice will not ask herself. When I was a young woman, I did in my very first face-to-face ask, I tried to get out of somebody's house without asking. And she was a super ally. And she said, Beth, you didn't ask me for anything. I'm like, oh, you're right. And I sat back down. So don't do that. Alice, I know you've agreed to let me ask you for support, and I'm so grateful. Would you consider a gift of $5,000 this year to the West Virginia Nonprofit Association over and above membership if you choose to join to support that advocacy?
My only concern is just that I have a wedding. My son's getting married this
Oh,
summer. And
oh,
so
wow.
we have a bit of a tight financial situation until
Okay.
then. But I would support the work.
Okay.
So I
Fantastic.
definitely, yeah,
Yeah, that's fantastic. Would you like to make an initial, is 5,000 a good number for you?
we could do 5,000.
Okay,
Yep.
beautiful. Do you want to start with anything before your son's wedding or not?
I think I would like to start probably the wedding's in June, so maybe in August,
Okay, great. That's
yeah.
fantastic. I feel really blessed. I will make a note and I will ask you again, is August not too soon? Is August a good time?
No, that would work. Yeah.
Okay,
Things will be wrapped
beautiful.
up by then. Yeah.
Okay. And I
Yeah.
think it would be fun to do another Zoom meeting. I could hear how the wedding went, and then we can just talk and then we can
Yeah.
confirm. And yeah, and you can make
Sure.
your gift just so in case there's anything that comes up that you want to talk about. But I would love to be face to face with you again, if that's
Yeah.
possible. Okay, wonderful. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Alice, thank you so much for your generosity. Is there anything more I can do for you with the West
No,
Virginia Nonprofit Association? Would you like me to sign you up for the newsletter? Anything like
the
that?
newsletter would be nice. Yeah, that would
Okay,
be nice and keep it
awesome.
fresh in my mind. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's
Yeah.
good stuff. It's going to be useful immediately to y'all, you
Yeah.
and the coalition. Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. I'll do that. Thank you, Alice. Now, that ask is done. we're going to go back to the PowerPoint. I hope I do this right. Okay. How to handle these common responses. Jeremy, is this working?
Not quite yet.
Not
Give it just
quite
a
yet.
moment
Oh,
or two, and then it'll pop up.
okay.
I'll let you know when it's there.
Okay.
Oh, it should have popped up by now.
Uh-oh. Okay,
Um,
so maybe I'm not sharing properly.
just go down to the share button
Yeah,
on the
I bet I'm
bottom
just not. I'll share again. Try again.
of your, there you go. Now it's working.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're still seeing your slide. Oh, there. Do it from current slide,
There we go. Oh,
not
do
from
it oh,
beginning.
from current slide. So sorry.
Yeah. Oh, that's all right. We'll learn
Okay, here we
fast.
go.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So how to handle these common responses. As you saw in the ask, there was a yes. And I told Alice she could be as hard on me as she wanted to be, or as easy. Um, you might get a yes. If you get a yes, please don't act surprised. Don't go, really? Okay, don't do that. That's an amateur response. You don't want to be that amateur. Just say, oh, thank you so much. You felt my genuine delight in her generosity. That's a lot of money. The response to that is, it is a lot of money. And that's why we wanted to talk with you face to face. That's why I wanted to talk with you face to face. Never would you say, no, that's not a lot of money. Because for that person, the reality, if the reality is that's a lot of money, it means like, oh, we're thinking about the ask amount and I'm feeling it. I'm feeling how it feels. It's like, that's a lot of money. Yes, it is. And that's why I'm here talking with you. And then you're silent. And often people will say, yeah, I can do that. They have to really think about it. You're asking them to make a gift they have to think about, which I think is a good thing. And I think we need to do it a lot more. I can't do that much is another common response. It's not a no. My response is, what could you do? How much could you do? Just like you watched me negotiate with Alice for the timing of her gift. It wasn't a no, it was a yes. And it's on me to follow up, which is the next slide. Let me talk with my partner, my husband, my whatever, my cat. And, then you say, okay, I'll get back to you in a week. Is that good? And the other person may often say, oh, no, I'll get back to you. And it's like, okay, sure. And you are always, again, tickling, writing in your notes to get back to them. If a week goes by, within 2 weeks, you want to remind them that they were thinking about making a gift, and you remind them of the amount that you asked for. There's a delicacy involved in that, but it's doable. You're reminding them of that connection also that you have with them. The other possibility is a no. And again, it is so unusual. And if you get a no at this point, I think there's something. I did get a no once. I drove from Orlando to Miami to make an ask for $500, which at that time in the 80s was a huge amount of money to me, organizing a women's foundation. And I had been invited into this person's beautiful home in Miami. And she said, no, what else can I do for you? And I had thought about, I'm an organizer. I thought, well, you could apply to join my board. You can't just buy your way onto my board, I thought to myself, but you can apply to join my board. You can organize a group, a support group in Miami, because that's a long way from me. So that would be really helpful. And I came up with a couple of other things. I got back home and I received a check for $20,000. I did not ask for $20,000. That's one of my favorite stories in fundraising. So a no can mean, tell me something else. Don't just see me as a number across my forehead. Treat me like a human being, build the relationship. My experience with no is very positive. I'll just say that. It's very seldom an end. If the person really does not ever want to hear from you again, they will probably have said so long before this point. Following up, I know we're at time. Um, Making detailed notes, super important in their record in your database. I don't care if it's a paper database, which probably isn't, but make notes about what happened during the ask. And also make notes of what you asked for and what the response was. Thank before you bank is a good rule. And I think the opportunity to say thank you again in writing is priceless. And I would do it if someone has agreed to meet with you, no matter what they have said. So then bank your gift and enjoy building your bottom line. You are allowed to enjoy receiving the money itself, because when you spend money, you need to bring in money. And this is some of that money. And build the relationship using your calendar to track when to contact each of your donors. Every single person might have their own calendar of contact. You don't need to inundate them with, your automatic emails or newsletter are doing that job to some extent for you. but they will not do an ask for you. So when should you, another year, make the ask with the next person? In between meetings, create easy ways to keep in touch. This is as much a part of the work that we're doing in nonprofits as anything else we do. I can't emphasize it enough. The thing is that we probably need more helpers to do it. We need board members to do it with us. We need to get them training so that they will do it. Other people on staff can do some asking. It's not all one person's job. It's a lot to create these relationships. These are what will keep you strong throughout all kinds of weather, financially, politically. These kinds of relationships I can't emphasize enough. Okay, so thank you so much. If you want live practice, check out my webinar Tuesday. And now I'd love questions. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, this was wonderful. And you know what's also really funny is we didn't practice this at all.
Oh yeah,
And the only thing Beth asked was just, what nonprofit do you want to talk about? Um, and all of that you saw, it wasn't acting. It was really me telling Beth, the answers that I would have given. Like it's kind of funny, like how that works. So anyway,
right.
um,
That I wanted that was actually really important that you
yeah,
see me do this live and impromptu with Alice. Yeah, very important.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah,
great.
absolutely. So this is going back to earlier, and Susan asked, where can we find out about a prospect's ability to give?
Okay. So I would start with just simply researching them online. I would look at their LinkedIn profile if they have one. Um, there's so much, I hate to say this, but like the value of their home. If they work, some people have inherited wealth and they may volunteer their buns off, but they may not have a job that pays money. But if they have a job, what sort of salaries people make? Do they have children? Do those children have braces? Are they going to college? Are they getting married? Um, what might be sort of in the negative and what might be in the positive for a gift? Obviously, if they've given before, I believe you can go as far as asking them to double the gift. I think you need a darn good reason. You have to really make your case. You also want to know, does the person tend to care more about a project? Would they be willing to give to general support? We know general support is really precious and often hard to come by. Okay, that's a good start.
Excellent. Amira asked, said it is a bit awkward asking for a specific amount.
Okay.
Um, the recent foundation we've been in contact with will be sunsetting their funds in the next 2 years.
Mm.
So we really want to still continue building connections and seeing if our programs would fit. So do you have any recommendations? And I know that this is a little bit more foundation, with a foundation versus a donor. But do you have any recommendations to strengthen
Sure.
that relationship?
As much as possible, I would ask them, what should we ask you for?
Yeah.
Especially if you've got any contact with them whatsoever, they will often say, here's what we're looking, here's the range. We're going to be making donations, as we're sunsetting from 50 to 100,000 or from 5 to 10,000. You can also look up what they've given in the past in their 990s. I hope you know that. That would be something Grant Station could definitely help you access, our people's 990s. They are also available free online, which is their tax return. And in their tax return, they disclose their giving. So what amounts what is the increment that they kind of have given in the past? Yeah. And you can also, if you know someone who's received a grant from them, you can ask their experience working with that grantor and how much, what they think is a good amount. You're much less likely to blow a grantor out of the water with asking too high than you are an individual. With an individual, I might ask slightly, if I have to err on the side of anything, I'm going to err on the lower side.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I totally get what you're saying there. Absolutely. Some Babs asked, what are some strategies for creating opportunities for an in-person ask for existing donors?
Oh, telling them you love them and you're so grateful that they've given and you want to take them to lunch or coffee. If your nonprofit feels like lunch is too hard to afford, that's okay. You're stewarding their dollars well. Probably you could take them out for coffee or a tea or whatever. Um, and it's clear. I mean, if you have the ability to just take them out to lunch and not make an ask, that is golden and amazing. A lot of us are pretty strapped. I'm not, but a lot of us are pretty strapped for time. So I understand if it needs to be combined into an ask, and hopefully you've been thanking them regularly so they feel sort of full already. But it's just like, I want to say it's just like asking a friend. It's a professional friend. I call them soul colleagues. Sorry, I forgot to hold up my mic. So this person is like your soul colleague. You want to meet with them. It's a privilege. It's like such a relief to get out of your office or your house if you work at home and go do something fun like meeting your donor. It's just it should be that easy. If it's not, maybe they are a hermit and they don't want to meet with you, but they're still generous. And so you find a way, if it's really got to be through email, or you send them a lovely press clipping, maybe a tiny, tiny gift, nothing remotely equal to the value of their donation. You invite them to something that you guys are doing, your nonprofit is doing. But ideally, you sit down with them.
Michelle asked, and I don't know if this was part of the setup versus I don't feel like you asked this, but she said, you said something along the lines of, I know you have the ability to give a larger gift. And I
Oh,
don't know if you
yeah.
said that directly to me or
I
not,
hope I
but
didn't say that. No, I would
okay.
know in advance that you could afford the $5,000 that I was going to.
Yeah.
And again, it might be slightly lowballing it, that you might have been giving in the range of $10,000. But since you've never made a gift to me, and I prize the long run, this is not a one-time thing. I am developing a relationship with you. I am for sure going to come back to you next year. If you say, yes, I'm going to come back to you next year. I probably wouldn't immediately ask you to double, but I'm going to continue to ask you to grow in how much you're giving, which means you have to become you're a thoughtful donor. I'm asking you to think about it. I've actually heard people say, we don't want our donors to think about how much they're giving. I'm like, whoa, yes, you do. You're probably not getting as much from them as you would if you actually asked them to think about how much they value you. So if I said that, that was probably part of the setup, but I don't know without replaying it. If I may have made
Right.
that mistake, that would not
Yeah.
be appropriate to say. It would just be part of my research.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought I was earlier too, but we have it on tape, so
That's right. That's right. We have it on tape.
okay, so Harold asked, how do you handle the ask in a group with
I
people? Okay,
Yeah, no, say it, finish the sentence. I'm
okay,
just like,
with
no, I don't.
people I have a volunteer connection with and can afford to make contributions.
And can
So,
afford to.
and can
Yeah,
afford
I
to
would ask them if for a face to face. I wouldn't do it in a group.
individually.
Plus, it puts them on the spot.
Yeah.
They can't, it's really hard to just say no. And then the no feels kind of, ugh. Yeah, no. Somehow find a way to meet with them one to one. Even if it's a phone
Yes.
call, is better than a group. Yeah.
Yeah. Carrie asked for existing donors that give at a certain level that you want to upgrade to a major gift or larger gift. Do
Mhm.
you, in the email or phone call, ask for a meeting, say, I would like to invite you to support us at a more significant level? Or
That's
what
a
way
good
should you do
question.
that?
That's a good question. Okay, so let's say somebody's been giving you 1,000 a year. First of all, they're a loyal donor, and you think they can probably do more. Um, I would like to meet with you to see if you'd consider increasing your gift, and I want to tell you why. So I would pique their curiosity. I think I would. My style is pretty direct, as you've noticed, and frank. Um, if you just said, I want to meet with you about your giving, it might sound like their giving is a problem, which it's not. So I think that's the approach I would use.
Um, let's see. Nicole said Beth used the term give a gift to express the intention that she is going to make an ask. Other language is support or contributions or donations. Do they all mean the same thing or is one better than another? That's
To
a good
me, they
question.
all mean the same thing.
Yeah.
And it should be practicing so it falls fluidly out of your mouth. I like the term, I like the whole gift economy. I like giving I generally call it a gift and asking for a gift because it is a gift. It's the other person's, they always can say no. 50% is an A, and I usually have a better than 50% average. Half the people you ask should say yes, or you should get about half the amount of money that you ask for overall. And this 50% is an A thing is something Kim Klein came up with to make us feel okay if we're sort of those people like the kids in school who 100% was an A or 95% was an A and 50% is terrible, like 50% is really good. And my guess is you will do better than that. So yeah, that's the language. And sometimes there is going to be a no somewhere in the process. Mhm.
Anne had a great question. Is it a good practice to meet for an ask without asking the prospect's partner to come along?
If they don't give as a couple, yes. If they
Okay.
give together, then of course I would treat them kind of as a unit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah.
Should you describe what the donation will be used for?
If you're asking for project support or campaign support, yes. If you're asking for general support, you have to have a really good fluid presentation about your whole organization and its impact. What you saw in the demonstration ask that I did with Alice was start out kind of general. And then when she told me she was part of a coalition, I went for it. I'm like, oh, because part of what I value about West Virginia Nonprofit Association is that they advocate for the whole sector and they raise the profile of the whole sector. So I thought, wow, she and her colleagues in this coalition probably are feeling this and would love an advocate and may not realize, and I didn't say that to you, Alice, but the donor may not realize they've heard of West Virginia Nonprofit Association, but they may not realize that that's part of what they do. They might just be looking closer to the ground at the member benefits. So it has to be equally rich with detail, but it really doesn't. It's not one. It's not better than the other. Both kinds of asks.
Um,
Alice has a hard job right now. Really
I do.
appreciate it.
Sorry,
Really
I'm trying to listen
appreciating.
to answers too
You're
and
doing
kind of do
so
this.
good. You're doing so beautifully. I appreciate it so
All
much. Thank you.
right.
Yeah.
Paul asked, the giving pyramid can be an effective strategy for making an ask for a specific amount. Is it
Mm.
considered passe?
No, the
Uh,
giving pyramid is really important, or a gift range chart. If you're doing a campaign, 50,000, you need one $10,000 gift, you need two $5,000 gifts. That's useful. A giving pyramid is totally useful. We just didn't address it in this um,
yeah,
presentation. Yeah.
gotcha. This is a perfect Beth question from Jill. Do you have a go-to nervous system reset for a
Mm.
particularly nerve-wracking ask?
Oh. I would, yeah, that's funny that you say that,
You
Alice.
just did it.
Yeah, I would do that. But what I'm picturing is the energy going down into the ground through my root chakra, through my butt, if you don't know what a root chakra is, and out the top of my head, but in particular, really grounding, feeling the ground, breathing, walking on the earth, including with bare feet. Those would be some. I also take rescue remedy, or I take paralandra remedies, and they have one that comes in alcohol, but it also comes in vinegar for people who don't want alcohol for whatever reason. Paralandra, emergency trauma solution for humans. Just saying. Yep, I take that. But I give myself something wonderful and rewarding maybe before and after. I was a little nervous before this. I did some stretching and on the floor, like some happy baby yoga stretching. That's just a taste.
Yep.
Thanks, Alice.
Yeah, you're welcome. Maureen asked, she said, I'm the director of a legal aid. She says, I donate to the organization in a larger amount than many board members who are all
Ooh.
attorneys and most in private practice. Should I be telling them how much I am donating?
Sure. You
Yeah.
should also be, unfortunately, you're probably the person who's going to end up asking them for gifts.
Yeah.
I also think you need to back up a step and get the board to agree to a job description. And in that job description, it needs to be, we give a substantial amount for each of us and we raise X amount, however that works. But it's part of the job description, I believe, for them to be giving. And it sounds like they should be giving more. Yeah.
Excellent. I have one last question, then I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up. But Ellen says, I give to a variety of organizations to my total limit. How would you engage with me to rearrange my giving priorities?
That would not be my job. That would not be my job. I would, if that's really, the donor is sovereign. Each of us is sovereign. Yeah, I feel like that's one step over the line. That's an interesting question. I would make a dedicated pitch. The other person just really has to figure that out, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I saw somebody had a question about a gift range chart article. I will send that to Jeremy. Maybe that could go out to the participants. I hope that's okay.
I can make that happen. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, Jeremy. Thank you.
And then, Jeremy, I've got a couple of things before we wrap up, but as you all know, you'll be getting the slides and the recording, all that good stuff. You'll get that by Friday evening. Jeremy also is going to put something in the chat, which is our state of grant seeking survey. And we're just coming up on the end of the month, which is when the survey closed. But we really need nonprofits to share with us what their 2025 grant seeking looked like. And then we share that information with you so you can benchmark yourselves against other like organizations, like size, like mission focus. So please, if you can, take that survey and share that link with your stakeholders and associations and things like that, so that we have a really good way to help nonprofits figure out grant strategies and how to proceed in the future.
Data.
Yeah. And also you have Beth. We have another workshop coming up with Beth. It will be where you get to come and practice, and instead of me, it will be you and her working on things. So we really encourage you to sign up for that.
One second. It'll be you and another participant in a breakout room, and we'll do coaching. We'll come back. Everybody will come back from the breakout rooms and do coaching with me afterward. And you'll do it twice, 2 times.
Excellent. Wonderful. So great. So we hope to see you on that webinar or another Grant Station webinar. And we really appreciate you, Beth. And yeah, we'll see you all the next time.
Thank you, Grant Stations. All right.
Thanks everybody for joining us. We hope to see you in a future Grant Station webinar. Oh, thank you from Canada. Thank you from Alaska. We're neighbors, Dagmar, so we're good to go. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day, and we'll see you in a future webinar. Visit GrantStation to see our latest online education offerings in the form of live webinars, interactive workshops, and on-demand learning. GrantStation.com.